Kimmy and welcome to PSCI News, Channel 331. We have breaking news about communism. Communism can be broken down into Marxism, Leninism, and Maoism. Marxism is basically the ruling class are the property owners and the lower class is the working class. By property owners, I mean the owners of the means of production, industrialization, factories. The workers are the lower class. Leninism rushes Marx's process of communism. In Marxism, you wait for the workers to come to the factory from the farms. In Leninism, you pick up the people from the farms and drop them straight into the factories. And in that, you move away from rural farmland to factories, no choice by the people. Maoism just skips all of this in general and is concerned with all peasants, not just farmers, not just lower working class, all peasants, and brings economic equality to everyone through land and economic reform. On to you, Freddie, with the history of communism.
Thanks, Kimmy. And what I'm going to talk to you about is the foundations of the two communist parties, the Communist Party of China and the Communist Party of Vietnam. Starting with China, the Communist Party of China, or CCP, was founded in July of 1921, and it was initially led by two men named Chen Tu-siu and Li Ta-chao. Mao Zedong, at the time, was a nobody. Now, as you can see, the Chinese Communist Party allied with the Kuomintang under Dr. Sun Yat-sen as soon as they were founded in 1922. However, on April 6, 1927, 2 years after Chiang Kai-shek succeeded Dr. Sun Yat-sen, the Chinese Civil War erupted when Chiang Kai-shek betrayed the Communist Party and started slaughtering all of their members, including Li Ta-chao, who was hung. Mao Zedong took over the Communist Party in 1943, during which not only had the Chinese Civil War been raging, but also the Japanese invasion of China during World War II. After World War II, the Communist Party of China and the Kuomintang ended their mutual ceasefire and began fighting each other again. The People's Republic of China was declared on October 1st, 1949. It occupies all of mainland China. Mao Zedong was its leader. Chiang Kai-shek was forced to retreat to the island of Taiwan, which became the last stronghold of the Kuomintang and is now known as the Republic of China. Now, on to Vietnam. Here we have the Socialist Republic of Vietnam. The Communist Party of Vietnam was initially called the Indo-Chinese Communist Party, as all of Indochina, which encompassed Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam, was under French control. It was established on 3rd of February 1930. Ho Chi Minh was in the lead. After World War II, the French returned to recolonize French Indochina. However, on September 2nd, 1945, the same day that the Japanese surrendered, the Democratic Republic of Vietnam was declared, with Ho Chi Minh as its head, and subsequently, in 1946, the Franco-Viet War began. It ended in 1954 with the Geneva Accords that made Vietnam two independent countries, Communist North and Democratic South. Democratic Republic of Vietnam in the north, Republic of Vietnam in the south. From that point, the Americans started to get involved in Vietnamese affairs. They began to back the Democratic South, and from 1965 to 1975, the North Vietnamese and the Viet Cong, who were southern guerrillas, not North Vietnamese, South Vietnamese fighting for communism, began a war with America. In 1975, the Viet Cong took Saigon, and the Republic of Vietnam was declared the Provisional Revolutionary Government of South Vietnam. And in 1976, North and South Vietnam unified and became the Socialist Republic of Vietnam. Mind you, Ho Chi Minh had died in 1969. His vision of an independent unified Vietnam, was something he never lived to see. Back to you, Kimmy.
Thank you, Freddie. And now on to Cecily with the relations of the government and the people of both Vietnam and China.
Thanks, Kimmy. I'm going to be talking about the Communist Party's influence in both China and Vietnam's government. We will soon see that the Communist Party has a great amount of influence in the way that they both run their countries and in the way that the government feeds off to all of its people. So here we move on to two different aspects of the government in China and Vietnam. The first aspect I'm going to be talking about are the elections. Are they free and fair? To most democratic citizens, people who live in democratic nations like we do, fair and free elections are the staple of our democracies. Many of us do not realize that elections do happen in communist nations, and they do in fact happen in both China and Vietnam. The Communist Party, though, basically runs the elections. A candidate cannot run for office unless he is affiliated and nominated by the Communist Party. All of the major leaders in both countries are prominent members of the Communist Party. Therefore, everyone with power in either of these countries is a significant member of the Communist Party and backs the party's logic and ideologies. The next thing we're going to talk about is the legislators. In China, they have the National People's Congress, and they are the ones who govern and who make the laws and stuff like that. And like I just mentioned, all of the members with high standing in the National People's Congress in China are prominent members of the Chinese Communist Party. They would not have been able to run for office unless they had already been nominated and were affiliated with the Communist Party. We see a very similar situation with the National Assembly in the Socialist Republic of Vietnam. Just like in China, all of the prominent members and leaders who have any power in the country are members and are affiliated with the Communist Party in Vietnam. That's all for me. Back to you, Kimmy.
Thank you, Cecily. And now on to Hesway with both the economies of China and Vietnam.
Thanks, Kimmy. All right, I'm going to talk about the economy of Vietnam. At first, Vietnam had a plan, and this plan was called the 5-year plan. At first, Vietnam did state-owned enterprises. State-owned enterprises was like a company managed by the government. Also, the government set up price settings on certain goods. Now, when this 5-year plan was over, it was like a failure. The state-owned enterprises was inefficient, and the price settings created shortages of goods. So, what the government did was relax, and it had a less tight grip on the economy. Now, when they relaxed these restrictions, the economy of Vietnam grew. So, what they realized is, in order to have a prosperous country, there should be less restrictions. Now I want to talk about China. When Mao was in charge, he wanted to distribute the wealth. And his plan, the Great Leap Forward, was set into motion. But before he put this plan into motion, he silenced a lot of people. And the people came and give feedback about his plan. It turns out that his plan was failing.
Thank you, Hesway, and that concludes our broadcast. Tune in next year when some other students choose Group 12 for their project.